Hi, I'm Amira Khalid, and I'm the creator and host of Inspiring UAE Women, the one and only podcast focused on female leaders in the United Arab Emirates. In my show, Inspiring UAE Women, I will be interviewing and shining the spotlight on a diverse group of female leaders in the UAE and hopefully inspire women in the region with their success stories. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoy listening to my podcast. And if you do, please subscribe and leave your comments and ratings on iTunes. You can also follow the show on social media and get in touch with me on LinkedIn at Amira Khalid ACCA or by email. Details will be in the episode description. My guest today is Catia Tomasetti. Catia Tomasetti, leader of BonelliErede's Energy and Ecological Transition Focus team, is a known expert in energy and project finance. She is both an Italian lawyer and a solicitor of the Senior Court of England and Wales. Catia joined BonelliErede as a partner in 2011, where she is also a member of their Diversity and Inclusion Board. She is also in charge of the development of the Middle East practice and the Dubai office. Today, Catia is also the president of the Central Bank of San Marino, making her one of only 14 women in the world with this role. Thank you so much for being on my show, Catia. It is an absolute pleasure to have you. Catia, my first question is, why law? Can you tell us the backstory about what interested you in this field?
Thank you. First of all, it is an honor to be invited in your show. When I selected my career, I didn't really know what to do. And my first choice were different. I wanted to do math, but my parents were not so keen to having me in that career. They thought it was a career without perspectives, especially for women. So law was not actually my first choice, was my second choice. And the reason which brought me to law were two. One was the fact that personally, I think I have a strong sense of justice. And the second reason was flexibility, because at that time I enrolled in university in 1983. For women, there was a total uncertainty of career. So I wanted to have something that had a high degree of flexibility of choices. So I started my faculty of law, not really thinking what I would become, but with an idea of flexibility.
Katia, you specialize in project financing. Why did you pick it?
It was totally by chance. I won a scholarship to go to England to convert my law degree in Italy into a law degree in England and Wales. Part of this package was to have an internship in a magic circle firm. And I selected to do my internship in EC law, which was the most international area I could imagine for my my future profession. But as often it happens that the same choice was made by another person who was the son of an important client of the firm. So the firm has, in principle, enrolled me in the EC law department. So I was convened by the head of the human resources of the firm, and this lady was very clever. She had only one alternative to offer to me, which was in the project finance department. First of all, I didn't even know what project finance was, but what I told the human resources lady is that actually I detested anything related to banking. I remember myself screaming, I don't even know how to write a check. How can you put me in a banking department? And she was very funny. She uses any argument. And after 1 hour, she told me, look, there are 150 good-looking guys in that department, and you will be the only woman. I understood that she was desperate. And so I said, okay. I saw you are in difficulties, but let's do this. I will try 1 week. And after 1 week, if I don't like it, you put me where I should be, in the ECO department. So after 1 week, I came back to her and I told her, first of all, there are not 150 good looking guys, but I like it. I do like it. So I will complete my internship. And that was love at first sight. Since then, I never stopped doing project finance. I found my right place totally by chance.
Katia, the economy is currently in post COVID pandemic recovery mode. Do you believe the downturn created any unique business opportunities?
Yes, I do. Is an event still ongoing, unfortunately, that is going to change dramatically our way of living. In similar circumstances, the story tells us that combined to a downturn of the economy, there is also a dramatic change and acceleration. And certainly, certain sector will be heavily affected or will even disappear. But certain other sectors will appear and be boosted by the new habits. So certainly, in my opinion, that we will be facing a change in the economy, which I do expect to be positive. In my personal sector, which is project financing, applying to infrastructure and renewables, I certainly see a lot of perspectives. In Europe, there are a lot of investments due to the PNR program, which is similar to an after-war investment program. But I think that in general, worldwide, people has understood, has learned from this experience that infrastructures are very important. I mean, you need the fiber to be able to communicate, but you also need electricity and but most of all you need a world that is more conscious on health and future. And I think this new trend is unstoppable.
This conversation around building up our infrastructure sustainably provides the perfect segue into my next question. So, ESG is a trending topic globally these days. Katia, what are your thoughts about ESG and what expectations do you have of legal providers?
Again, it's a tricky question because I personally believe that lawyers can make the difference. Perhaps in the future we will see not only ethical banks but also ethical law firms. And perhaps law firms will engage more on assisting ethical clients than providing support to business or activity which are not in line with ESG. I'm dreaming perhaps, but I do hope that also law firm will be tested on ESG, not only for their procedures, but also for the sites they are engaged in and for the clients they want to assist.
Katia, are there any projects or upcoming work that you're particularly excited about in 2022?
Yes, there are many. One of those is the first project in Italy, project financing of a plant producing green hydrogen. This makes me proud because I do believe a lot on hydrogen. I think hydrogen is the future, and especially green hydrogen. So a plant where the process of production is totally alimented by green electricity, in this case produced by a wind farm. For me, this is really important because when I started my profession, my first project was in the electricity sector and was a cogeneration plant. So a plant where the electricity was generated by gas turbine. At that time, for us, that was the cleanest as possible energy we could have. And now, after 25 years, working on something where there is a wind farm, hydrogen, no emission at all, is something that really makes me excited and very proud. The other project I care a lot is the project on hydro. Basically, I'm working to replace certain pipelines, old pipelines in Italy, to reduce the loss of water. during the transportation. Again, water is something that is becoming more and more precious, and I'm very proud of being involved in a project to protect water and quality of water. It was something that, as I underlined, it was not like this before when I started my profession. Now, as a lawyer, we can choose, and there are many opportunities to work on projects that have an high added value.
So I always enjoy asking my guests their tips on progressing within their sector. With the legal industry being predominantly male, Catia, can you share your top tip on rising up the legal ladder?
When I started, I didn't dream of a career really, because to give you an example, I joined the biggest firm in Italy, but at that time in Italy there was no partner woman in a firm. And I decided to invest my efforts in the banking department that was totally predominantly male, not only in England where there were just 150 men male in my department and I was the only woman, but also in Italy it was even worse. The usual things that I'm telling to my colleagues is to select what they like and to invest their energy, because then things are moving naturally. I think if you work with passion in what you're doing, the results will come sooner or later. Of course, now there are more instruments, there are more women involved or better rules. And I do hope that women of my age or even elder can work together and help the others, because there is still a lot to do to actually allow women to do the same career as male in the same profession.
Katia, how have you seen attitudes towards women in law change over your years of practice? Has there been an evolution in how women progress and are promoted?
Definitely, yes. I noticed a different approach in colleague, in clients, in counterparties, because at the beginning it was very difficult. To give you an example, when I went to meetings and I was a lawyer and I went there with two male trainees. Normally, a client or a counterparty will ask me to bring a coffee because it took for them at least half an hour to understand I was a lawyer. But now something like this would never ever happen. No, so definitely, even in small things, you notice a change. Unfortunately, I think there is still a lot to do, because often the management of companies as well as the management of law firms are formed of people coming of a certain age, first of all. So they have to fill their own cultural gap. They are fighting. I see that they are fighting, but still there is a lot to do. I think we are not still ready for equality, even if we are struggling. I do hope that this process, which is definitely there, will accelerate and allow the next generation to be totally equal.
Katia, what else do you think needs to change to ensure more equality between men and women in the legal industry?
I would like to add that, for example, in our law firm, we have just introduced the pink quotas for the board and for one of the most important committee. In Italy, the pink quotas, the so-called pink quotas, proved to be a useful accelerator to put the women into boards, into certain roles like chairman of a listed company or even managing directors of listed company. This legislation dates of 2011, and in 10 years, frankly, there has been a revolution. That legislation was definitely useful. I think that even for the legal profession, it could be useful. And I think what our firm did, which is unique in Italy, should be followed by the others. And I do hope to see many managing partners, women in Italy. Actually, we don't have one, I think just one perhaps. So I do hope in the next 2-3 years to see more managing partners women, and this will accelerate very much the equality.
Catia, are you where you expected to be at this stage in your career or life?
Well, if you ask me to answer this question as a woman, I will tell you that no, I didn't expect it at all. As I said, there was no partner woman at my time, so it is a dream being a partner, being in charge of a department or the career I made. If I were a man, I would tell you no. I think there is still a lot to achieve. And for my age and my results, I should be somewhere else. So, as you see, there is still something I would like to achieve, and I will fight for that.
Catia, my last question is, what advice would you give to young female lawyers starting out in the field?
Certainly to select the area she likes the most, the firm she likes the most, without any worry, not to be stopped by, for example, the worry of not finding a husband, and just to follow her passion. That is important because what I notice in my profession with respect to the young colleagues is that when they approach the firm and they are very young and they are trainees, they are so full of excitement and energy, and then some of them unfortunately are lost because they are worried of not being able to combine family opportunities with the work, or they are somehow stopped by a boyfriend, a husband, or whatever. My suggestion is just to not to listen to people who are not caring about what you want.
Thank you so much, Catia. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure for me to be invited. Really an honor. And thanks for what you are doing, because I wish in Italy we had something similar to your emission, because I think if we had it, our fight will be easier.
Thank you, Catia. It is my honor, and it is encouragement like this that keeps the show and myself going. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Inspiring UA Women podcast. Gender diversity always has a positive impact on a company's success. This has been proven time and again through extensive research within all industries. Law firms are no exception. Acritas, which is a part of Thomson Reuters and a leading provider of market research in the global legal industry, conducted extensive research in 2020, which covered the Asia Pacific, Europe, and North America region. They discovered that gender diverse teams in law firms achieved 10% higher client spends. The research also discovered that within law firms, recruiting entry-level women lawyers is not a problem. At the average law firm, about 56% of junior associates are women. However, by the equity partner level, this percentage declines drastically to 24%, which is a 57% decrease. According to the research, two key barriers to women's advancement into law firm leadership exist. The first barrier, significantly in the Asia-Pacific region, is that advancement to law firm leadership is regarded as incompatible with women's tendency to shoulder a larger share of domestic responsibility. The second barrier, significantly in Europe and North America, is gender bias, which was generally believed to be unconscious. Two other lesser recognized barriers have also been cited in a separate research by the International Bar Association in 2019. The first is a culture of bullying that exists in varying degrees at most law firms. Research carried out by the International Bar Association found that half of female lawyers globally had been bullied, and 1/3 had been sexually harassed in the workplace during their legal careers. Both these figures are significantly higher higher than that experienced by male lawyers. More distressingly, very few female lawyers are reporting this behavior because of the embarrassment, the potential repercussions for their career, and the unfortunately and often well-founded perceptions that firms do not respond effectively to complaints. The second problem area is around client behavior. The International Bar Association survey indicated that 1 in 5 of the sexual harassment incidents were by clients. This is something women lawyers have to be very conscious of when building relationships with male clients, an issue that men have to contend with less often. In addition, the research by Acritas has also shown that male clients are more likely to appoint a male lead partner for their work. And with men being so overrepresented among the most senior in-house roles, this bias again puts female lawyers at a disadvantage. All of these factors come together to drive women out of the legal profession or into in-house legal roles. However, it is also worth noting that the majority of law firms recognize that a lack of gender diversity is a problem and are actively taking steps to rectify it. With that, I will see you all in the next episode.